Hey, what's going on? It's Stokely from Sauce on Delay. I haven't recorded for a long time. Haven't really been inspired. Because I don't know. I haven't really been inspired. You know what I mean? And the informal format that I use is heavily dependent upon inspiration. So I don't just jump up and just come up with ideas. Most times I get inspired by something that somebody else is doing. Anyhow, but one thing that I really want to eventually put a conclusive, well, I can't say conclusive because knowledge is, we're always getting new knowledge, so there's no conclusive. But one thing I want to do some extensive or a little more thorough than normal research on is the connection between diet and mental health. Now, I've encountered videos on Instagram where there are people retelling of research. I haven't looked at the research myself. I haven't looked at any peer-reviewed studies myself. But someone is relaying that changing the diets of prisoners lowered their instances of violence. And it's not by, loading them up with soy and estrogen. It was actually by giving them more nutritious food, I think, with more B vitamins. I mean, one thing about prisoners is they're definitely devoid of sunlight. So, if they probably lack nutrition in not just vitamin D, but I would think that most of their foods are canned, most of their foods are processed, and it's not healthy, unless they live on one of these, unless they're incarcerated in one of these southern facilities that where the prisoners actually grow their own food and prepare their own real food. But anyhow, moving along, I just made some notes because I don't know when I'm gonna really be able or well, I'm gonna be able, but I don't know when I'm going to dedicate some time to really work on having like I said, extensive post or entry or episode about food and mental health. So I'm just gonna relay a list that I have here. Just mention some things that I'm using that I'm gonna hopefully, if I actually get it done, use as a guideline and a skeleton for the whenever I ultimately speak about food and mental health. So starting from the top is sugar, right? So sugar is associated with brain fog. I mean, your brain needs sugar. Your brain needs it. But I just found out the other day that your liver can make sugar using cholesterol. So, it's not, if you're getting the calories, you should be kind of okay. The other day, maybe about a week ago, I was fasting because I had what I would call flu-like symptoms. I had the flu, so I started fasting to try to feel better because I was feeling pain all over my body, and I associate pain with mucus. I associate pain with inflammation. Inflammation and mucus are word associated in my brain. So I was fasting. I didn't eat on Sunday. I didn't eat probably all the way up to about Wednesday, what I did was I did have some soup, and that was the only meal that I had for the whole day. And then maybe I had some tea and then maybe Thursday is when I started to get a little bit of appetite. So from about Sunday to Wednesday, I didn't really eat much. I'm already, let's just let that sound go by. So I'm already what people would call thin, and I wasn't eating. So I'm suspecting that I didn't have enough fat deposits or cholesterol in my liver to produce enough sugar for my brain. So I started being delirious somewhat. It was also hard for me to sleep. I couldn't sleep, and I did not have motivation, and I didn't have inspiration, and I didn't have any ideas going on in my head. So and when it was at its worst, I woke up in the night. Like I said, I constantly couldn't sleep, but I woke up in the night. I was saying in my brain, I was saying to myself, I actually need to get some sleep because I need to rest. But I couldn't sleep. So I got up, I walked into the kitchen. There was a stool there. I sat down on the stool, and I was thinking to myself, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what am I doing? What am I doing with myself? I need to cough. Just hold on one second. I was wondering, what am I going to do with myself? What am I doing? What's the purpose of everything? What's the point of anything? And I was mindful that I had no motivation. I had no inspiration. I had no drive to do anything. So, lack of sugar, or maybe even lack of cholesterol, enough calories. Like I said, I was tired already. But it's understandable that I was tired. I hadn't eaten. I didn't have an appetite either. So, sugar, glucose, whatever, is important to maintain your brain's operation. I found out firsthand when I was fasting and I started feeling somewhat delirious. And but again, sugar, right, is associated with diabetes. Alzheimer's is referred to now as the third diabetes, type 3 diabetes. We know that sugar causes inflammation, right? I personally have experienced sugar to make me feel as if it is lowering my immune system. But if you're producing mucus anyway, that's an immune response, and your immune system is probably responding to whatever's being triggered by the consumption of the sugar. So it's a response. It causes an immune system response anyhow. So sugar affects your brain. You need it, or you don't need refined sugars. You don't need added sugars. That's the thing about it. You don't need synthetic sugars like aspartame, sucralose, maltodextrin. You don't need those fake sugars. You don't need added sugars. We need to eat food that already has the sugars in it, and that is okay. If the food already has the sugar in it, then it's I'm distracted because I see a wooden box that I could use to plant some plants in. I think I might take that if I can keep it in my car and not fall apart. So what am I saying? Why do I need a raised bed anyway? But anyway, so sugar, good and bad, right? Sugar is good when your body produces it. Sugar is good when you get it directly from the plants. And you got to keep your calories, you know, at a decent level, which is, you know, a balancing act. But you know, you don't really have to pay attention to that as long as you respond to your body's demands. And when it demands something, give it something good. I also, over that time that I was fasting, I probably lost 9 pounds. And now I'm down to about 150 something. No, I'm sorry. I lost about 10 pounds. And I wasn't doing any exercise or any physical activity or any rigorous activity. I lost 10 pounds, and that's about 5% of my body weight. And I probably have, I don't know. If you looked at my BMI, my body fat is probably about 8%. My body fat was about 8%, but I lost 10% of my weight. So I lost probably 10% fat and I lost 2% muscle. Also, your brain not only needs sugar, it needs cholesterol also. Your brain uses 25% of your body's energy. So, you know, I hear about people doing water fasts and fasting. I was watching a video on Instagram. A guy said he fasted for a whole month. But he has a little more mass than I do. He could probably do a fast longer than I can without, you know, having any psychological effects. I, on the other hand, I don't have that leeway. You know, this guy, I saw him in this video. He said he fasted for a whole month. And I looked at him, and he still had like some, you know, some mass to him. You know, me, I'm pretty sinewy already. So let me just pause here because I gotta do something, and then I'll restart. Hey, so I'm back. Might hear some more beeping noises. So the next thing is coffee. Now coffee, you know, I had some coffee yesterday. I had a latte yesterday to treat myself. Yeah, but you know, some of these treats are really no good for you. So the thing about coffee, from my limited understanding, it dehydrates you, for one thing. It triggers anxiety, or increases your level of anxiety. It also, from my limited understanding, strips your iron. You know, depletes your iron in your body. So it's not really that good, you know, regarding mental health wise. It Party City is having a closing sale. So coffee, it drains you your water, which is not good for your brain. Depletes your iron, which I don't really know how that would affect your brain. But it triggers anxiety, which is definitely no good. What else? Okay, so moving along. Food dyes. Now, you know, recently red dye number 3 was banned. I don't really know what red dye number 3 does per se, but some of these dyes are associated with attention deficit disorder and hyperactivity in children. So food dyes are not good. Many of these food dyes are synthesized fake stuff. You know, they're made from petroleum. Some of them, I did a thing on food, on ingredients that are based on petroleum, and the food dyes, and sorbitol, I think, and some other stuff. You know, there's a lot of different things that are made from petroleum that are in food ingredients, and food dyes are one of those things. Which, funny enough, I was just reading an article that acetaminophen, which is, from my limited understanding, aspirin, right? Aspirin is made from petroleum also, so, you know, we use a lot of stuff that are petroleum based as medicines. Anyhow, moving along, soy. So soy, you know, that also blocks your iron absorption, and soy can affect your endocrine system because, you know, it's a phytoestrogen. You know, it's a phytoestrogen, and your, you know, your pituitary gland, your thyroid, those things regulate things all throughout your body. So if you're consuming soy, maybe it's good for women because it'll increase their level of estrogen, but for males, it's probably not something that you want to consume. You want to find something better to eat. And if women are going to consume estrogen, consume soy, they probably have to, you know, compensate with some type of food that is a good source of iron. Piggybacking on that thought, you know, a lot of people I see online, I don't know if this is legitimate or not. Like, when I say I see something online, that means I didn't read a peer-reviewed document about it. So I see people online saying that, oh, you know, I had so-and-so condition and I went on a carnivore diet and I felt better. So I'm wondering, what kind of diet were they on before? Were they on just a processed food, standard American diet, eating sodas and wheat and all kind of stuff like that? You know, I mean, were they eating, drinking a bunch of coffee? I don't know. You know what I mean? There's a lot of factors. One thing about, and a lot of these people, when they talk about their carnivore diets, they're talking about beef. Now, the beef industry needs, I'm not saying, you know, I'm going off on tangents, but the beef industry, you know, has an interest in people talking about going on carnivore diets because, you know, ultimately we've discovered that, and we've probably known for a while, that milk is not good for most people in the world. Over 60% of the world's population cannot digest milk. There's recently, I encountered another post online that linked cheese to, you know, cancers that women suffer from. Many of the cancers that women are suffering from are linked to cheese. So, you know, it's you know, what is the beef industry going to do now? And additionally, there are people who want to reduce the beef population and the beef, and basically, you know, curtail the beef industry because of the greenhouse gas emissions that are being added to the atmosphere due to cows' flatulence. All right, so the beef industry is under a lot of pressure, and you know, there's one guy specifically. He's somewhat of a holistic guy, but he's a guy that pushes carnivore diet, called David Osprey. Now, David Osprey also owns, from my understanding, cows. He owns a cattle farm of some kind, or a dairy farm of some kind. It's in his own personal business interest, or maybe it's a offshoot of his belief system that carnivore diet is superior. Now, my suspicion is that what's going on with the carnivore diet for a multitude of reasons. When you're on a carnivore diet, hopefully you consume less carbs, so you're gonna lose weight in that kind of way because you're starving yourselves of the carbohydrates, right? Now the fat from the beef or whatever is going to give you some cholesterol so that your liver can turn it into sugar, so you'll be okay somewhat in that sense. And the protein will help to contribute to your muscle growth, and of course muscle growth helps to burn fat on your muscles, your visceral fat. You know, it's not going to burn the fat on your liver, but it's going to burn the fat on other parts of your body. At the same time, the micronutrients that we need, like the magnesiums, the manganese, the whatever, all these other things, these micronutrients, everybody's big on magnesium right now, are in the animal's tissues. So you're going to get some nutrients from the animal tissues, but you're not going to get all of them, you know? So, like I said before when I spoke about the carnivore diet, I think the carnivore diet is basically a fasting state. You know, you're not, like I said, you're not eating processed foods, so that's a good start. The meat fills you up, and you're getting the protein to build muscle. So, you know, and that's a good thing. Now I don't, these people who tout the carnivore diet, I don't know their exercise regimen. You know, it's not just about eating the right things. People are doing other things and we don't really know, you know, like they're changing multiple variables simultaneously and then attributing the benefits to a single variable, which is not a reliable way of seeing results from a specific lifestyle or diet modification. You know, you gotta just change one variable, see what happens, you know, in my opinion. Now when it comes to getting healthy, you want to do a multitude of things, but when it comes to research and getting results and relaying results, it should really just be one variable at a time being changed, or two variables or whatever, but the variables need to be tracked. So people are saying, you know, carnivore diet cured me of this, and I don't know what else variables they changed. So, you know, it's all good though. You know, it is what it is. But let's move along. I went too far on soy, because really soy is all I wanted to talk about. So the next thing is preservatives. You know, you got things like sodium benzoate, and you got nitrates. You got a bunch of preservatives, right? I don't know what preservatives do to your brain. I'm gonna look into it. So let me skip along. Flavor enhancers like MSG, even salt. Salt is a flavor enhancer also. But MSG, monosodium glutamate or whatever it's called, it tricks your brain into believing that you want to eat more. It's like the opposite of what these GLP-1 drugs do. These GLP-1 drugs trick your brain into making you think you're full and you don't want to eat. But MSG makes you want to eat more. Now, regarding your mental faculties and your mental health and your behavior, I don't know what that does, but if you're feeling hungry, then, you know, I wouldn't think that you'd be in a good mood, you know what I mean? Moving along, tea. Now, tea, we're finding out that teas like black tea and green tea are you know, sources for fluoride. Like, compared to herbal teas, black tea and green tea have a large amount of fluoride, and we know that fluoride is attributed to cognitive negative cognitive effects on children. So tea, you got to be careful on with the teas that you choose. Now I'll put the word alkaline. So the inside of our bodies has an alkaline pH, and that's just how it is. Our skin, on the other hand, the external is acidic, but the internal is alkaline. If that pH balance internally is thrown out of whack, like too much acid, that's when, or if your internal gets more acidic, it's associated with illness. It's associated with your body not being in good condition. It's associated with susceptibility to infection, and I would associate it with decay. You know. Now, if it's too alkaline, I don't know if that's. I don't know what's the effects of that, but it's probably not good either. You know. But thank God. God designed us with some regulatory systems. You know, God designed us with thirst, hunger, and all these different things, and the body tries to compensate and tries to adjust and adapt to bring everything into balance. So the body's pH is pretty important. Now, if you go to these stores now, they sell these smart waters, these alkaline waters, so on and so on and so forth. Even Evian and all these the spring waters, sometimes they add things to them, like baking soda. A lot of people say they've consumed baking soda to do, to heal themselves in some kind of way. My only issue with that is, if it throws off your stomach acid pH, which is important for your digestive process. Your body's pretty good at our bodies are pretty good at digesting plants, not so good at digesting meat so much, and not every plant it digests. As of late, people have been saying corn is not something that's healthy to eat because most of it is GMO, most of it is subject to pesticides also, and when you eat it, it comes right back out your poop and it's not even digested. So they're saying that's not a good thing, but sometimes you need the fiber and the roughage to go through your system. Yes, the corn isn't digested, but it's not getting stuck in your velum or alveoli or whatever those little hairs are inside your guts. I don't think it's getting stuck in your guts, so I don't have a really issue with it. It's just you're not really getting much nutritional value from it would seem, unless you crush it up, make it into cornmeal, where your acid can really burn it up. Because when you increase the surface area of something, you increase the ability to dissolve whatever that thing is. It's like the difference between putting a sugar cube, a big sugar cube, versus powdered sugar. The powdered sugar is going to dissolve faster than the sugar cube. So if you eat cornmeal, or even if you have like a tortilla or burrito, those are ground up versions of those things. So those are ground up versions of corn. I got distracted. Those are ground up versions of corn, so it's gonna be easier to digest versus the whole corn. But anyhow, I was talking about pH and oh no, I just ran that light. See that camera there? I don't see a camera there. Anyhow, moving on. Next thing is drinking water. So, the drinking water that we get from the tap, of course, contains chlorine, which is good because chlorine kills the bacteria in the water. The bacteria can make us very sick. At the same time, chlorine, from my limited understanding, can damage your organs. One thing you can do, and it's not really the chlorine atom itself. It's not chlorine because the chlorine atom is inside salt, NaCl. No, it's sodium. Is it sodium hypochlorite or sodium hydroxide? Sodium hypochlorite is bleach, from my understanding. So the sodium hypochlorite in its state of sodium hypochlorite is not really healthy, which is a good and a bad thing because it's not healthy for the bacteria and the living organisms in the water. So it kills those germs, but it's not healthy for us really too much either. Now, what I found out in one of my previous posts, what I found out during a little reading is that vitamin C neutralizes and breaks down bleach. It breaks it down into salt and something else, but it breaks it down into things that are not so harmful. So, but what about the chlorine? What about the water? Really, I'm just talking about water. Let's go back to water. Being dehydrated, is gonna, excuse me. Being dehydrated is not gonna it's not gonna be good for your brain. I don't know exactly what it causes, but it can kill you. Being dehydrated can kill you. I think being dehydrated would also make you delirious. I think so, but I'm not sure about that. But the chlorines and the fluorides, like I said, the fluoride inhibits cognitive abilities in children. It's proven. Chlorine now, I don't know exactly what that does to us cognitively, but let's say in the case of spring water for the most part, in theory, because in theory spring water is supposed to have micronutrients that you need, but spring water, in my opinion, is a very vague terminology because depending probably on the spring that you get it from, the micronutrient concentration is going to be varied, and which specific micronutrients you're going to get, who knows what dosage is the proper dosage. I'm sure these companies that I would like to believe that these companies that harvest spring water, sell spring water, whatever, are constantly monitoring the concentration in the vats and the bottles and whatever that they harvest, that they whatever. I would like to hope so. But anyhow, moving along, because water is a big thing, because now people are talking about Kagan water. People are talking about reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis, people are talking about microplastics. They're disdain for microplastics and stuff like that. A reverse osmosis system uses a polymer membrane in addition with solvents to remove the salts from the water. So if it's using a polymer membrane, you're also risking encountering microplastics. Now, Kangen water, I don't know what that is. And some people are talking about some electrified water or something. I forgot what it's called. I don't know what it is. But there's so much going on with just water right now. And you guys got guys like Yaki Awaken who talk about H2O3, which I found to be a real thing. That's the water that you get from living plants. It would kind of explain why gorillas and monkeys and cows and goats are so strong. They're so powerful. They're so powerful and they're so strong, because they're eating living water, and they're eating living plants. Anyhow, that's just speculation though. What else? I'm not even halfway through my list of things that I wanted to talk about mental health about. Energy drinks. Energy drinks contain caffeine and taurine. Now, I use taurine and sauce on delay because taurine was proven to grow hair follicles in vitro. Extracting the hair follicles from the head and putting them in taurine, they continue to grow. The hair continued to grow. Okay, the hair shaft or whatever you want to call it. I should know these things. So energy drinks though. Energy drinks. Some of them use B vitamin. And B vitamin is good for you. B vitamin is, like I said, it might be associated with better behavior in prisoners. Artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners are neurotoxins. Aspartame and sucralose, those things are toxic to your brain. They're no good for your brain. Just like regular sugar, these things are associated with they still spike your insulin. That's the thing about it. And insulin resistance is diabetes. And like I said, they say that Alzheimer's is the type 3 diabetes. Sugary drinks goes back to sugar. I could eliminate that from my list. Let me scratch that out, because sugary drinks is just sugar. Sugary drinks are added sugar a lot of times. Some of them are sweetened with pear juice, which, if it's sweetened with pear juice, then that's not so bad, because that's real plant-based. That's not a processed sugar. That's not an added sugar, quote unquote. Even though they're using it to sweeten the food, it's coming from plants. I mean, you still shouldn't go crazy with, sugar. Now, I said simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates get directly turned into sugar. So I'm going to scratch that out. Simple hydrates spike your blood sugar. So I've already spoken about sugar. So let's take that out. And the thing with sugar, again, is brain fog and a potentially causing Alzheimer's. Nutrient deficient diet. Well, I kind of spoke about that when I spoke about the carnivore diet. Ultra processed foods. Well, that's kind of preservatives. So guess what? I'm going to take that out. Let's simplify it. Let's simplify and not be redundant. Preservatives, stabilizers, and emulsifiers. Now, if emulsifiers, those might affect absorption. But when we're talking about ultra-processed foods, most of the time, the biggest culprit, in my opinion, is preservatives. Antibiotics. Now, the antibiotics that they give to the cows and all that stuff, they're causing inflammation. They're causing weight gain. But I don't know them to be, to be linked with any cognitive issues. Alcohol damages your brain. Alcohol eats away at your brain. I mean, from the scans that I've seen, Dr. Amen puts out scans where there's less cholesterol in the brains of people who consume a lot of alcohol. I put sugars, simple carbs, gut biome. I wrote the same thing again. I don't repeat myself. Let's erase that one. Sugars, insulin resistance. Oh man, I love sugar so much. I wrote about it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times already. Nutrient absorption blockers, oxalates. Okay, so people say that oxalates cause kidney stones and they also block absorption in your gut. And one of the biggest things that people complain contains oxalates is broccoli. And broccoli has a lot of benefits. Moving along, cheese cultures and yeast. Well, like I said, cheese is now associated with cancers that women experience a lot. Cheese is made from milk, and most people can't absorb milk. Milk has lactose in it, which is a form of sugar also. But milk causes inflammation. Inflammation is never good. Now, behavior-wise, I don't think the only thing it's going to make me do personally is run to the bathroom. But it's not going to make me agitated or rude or violent or anything like that. Dehydration. I already spoke about dehydration when I spoke about water. So let's take that out. That goes under water. Meat, pork, beef, mutton, chicken, fish. Well, on a spiritual mumbo jumbo level, people say that eating meat, when you eat meat, you take on the fear that the animal experienced when it was killed. So maybe that would make you more violent or make you more fearful or make you prone to anxiety, on a spiritual basis. But I think I'll leave that one there. I don't know if I'll discuss it in that context of a spiritual context. But spiritual can, convey and be connected to your behavior in the physical realm. Milk, mucus. I spoke about milk a million times already. I really got an issue with milk, don't I? Let's put that up with cheese. And let's erase this line. Let's say milk and mucus. Milk causes mucus. Milk contains also lactose. Not enough calories. Nutrient absorption. Yeah, I already spoke about nutrient absorption, so I could take this part out that says not enough calories. Gluten. Gluten. I've seen gluten is associated with triggering, episodes of some people say gluten makes what's that condition called? Autism worse, right? Some people say gluten makes autism symptoms worse. So, and the gluten is mostly inside or exclusively inside of wheat. So, there's other things that we could probably eat. We don't need to eat wheat. Mushrooms. Now, mushrooms, the mushrooms are associated with psychedelics, and they make you trip, and they make you feel wonderful. But now mushrooms are seemingly going to be approved as a form of therapy for a variety of mental health related issues. So mushrooms so far, aside from people who are abusing it recreationally, mushrooms seem to be a therapeutic way of if you're using the psychedelic type mushrooms. Now, regular mushrooms that you get on your pizza, mushrooms are made from fungus, but they're being found to be a very easy crop to grow, a very high output. They grow very fast, and you can use them to turn garbage into to useful food. You can grow mushrooms on garbage, and turn those things into delicious dishes. So mushrooms have a lot of potential. The regular mushroom, I don't see it causing any real issues that I'm aware of. But hey, thanks for listening. Kind of hesitant to publish this because it's not really structured. But I just, if you endured and listened to this whole thing, then maybe you'll get some inspiration to do your own research into why you might be behaving a certain kind of way. And I didn't speak about addiction, because we can get addicted to food. We can get addicted to sugars, and the whole withdrawal experience from maybe even psychedelic mushrooms, or the withdrawal experience from, I don't know if anybody's addicted to energy drinks. Sugar, though, specifically, is something that our brain craves, but withdrawal from that can cause you to be a little agitated. But thanks for listening, and we'll talk.